Thanks everyone, and great to be back in Noosa. Alligator Energy, the story continues to be really exciting. So next 15 minutes, I'll keep you enthralled as to where the company is, some of the goals we've kicked recently, and where we're headed. Our usual disclaimer, with the map up on the right-hand side, today I'll just be talking about our uranium projects. So one up in the Alligator Rivers province in the Northern Territory in Arnhem Land, where the company takes its name from, and then our two South Australian projects, Samphire, the most advanced, and that's the one that I'll spend most time talking on, and where we get the most questions from investors. And then our conceptual Big Lake, but very exciting project in the Cooper Basin. Company snapshot, very quickly, circa 40 million in the bank. If you add in the share purchase plan that closed in early October, a market cap that bounces around 200 million. A uranium-focused board, very experienced. Paul Dixon was one of the founding directors of the company. Greg Hall, our CEO, he worked at the Ranger mine. He was in the Rio Tinto trading area, trading uranium and bauxite, and was also the founding director and CEO of Toro Energy. Peter McIntyre he led the team that found the Husab deposit and drilled that out in Namibia. And Fiona Nichols, experienced Rio Tinto operative in the planning, strategy, and sustainability area, and was involved both with Rossing and an alternate director for ERA. I would quickly highlight Dr. Andrea Marsland-Smith, our COO. I'll talk a little bit, or I'll talk a lot actually, about in situ recovery. And Andrea comes to us from Heathgate, where she's actually got operating experience with a in situ recovery or ISR operation in South Australia. Our tailwinds, I think a couple of the other presenters in the uranium space over the last couple of days have just highlighted the impact and the tailwinds that sit behind the sector. On the right-hand side there, a spot graph that shows the movement in the spot price since December 19, and we're up in the low 70s at the moment. The pursuit of net zero by 2050 is driving government policy, whether that's in the US or the EU. So that's providing a real tailwind. And I heard just overnight in Sweden commitment to significant increase in nuclear in Sweden. 60 reactors being constructed. I understand another 100 under consideration. And importantly, in Japan, post-Fukushima, all the nuclear reactors were closed down. Roughly a third of them are back and operating. Concerns with the war in Ukraine and divide between the East and the West. And then around the inventory rundown, supply disruption with the coup in Niger, and the emergence of the two ETFs, Sprott and Yellow Coke. And they've really soaked up a lot of the spot that was floating around in the market and forced, as I've got there, the utilities to come out and start contracting again. So already and significantly this year, 118 million pounds of U3O8 has been contracted. Onto our projects. As I said, Samphire is where I'll focus today, and is really the jewel in the crown in terms of how far it is advanced. It is a, if I can work out how the laser works, I don't, there we go. The town of Whyalla is just to the north of us. The Blackbush deposit is where we have a JORC resource, 18.1 million pounds, and growing. That was declared in March of this year, and since then we've continued drilling in and around the Blackbush West and Blackbush East deposit. To the south, the Plumbush prospect, it does have a JORC 2004 resource, which we can't quote, but I'll talk a little bit more about the regional potential with Plumbush. We also have infrastructure, the Lincoln Highway, so from a development perspective, a lot of the infrastructure is close at hand, and a skilled workforce in Whyalla. We have put out in March of this year a scoping study based on producing 10 million pounds over a period of 12 years. And we are working and targeting, and I'll talk a little bit about news flow shortly, bringing out a revised resource estimate from the drilling that we've been doing, which will flow into a further scoping study, updating the scoping study, and to give investors a feel for the size of the prize. We'll also be putting out an exploration target range, so looking at that broader regional area. Field recovery trial I'll touch on as we go through things. So these are the metrics from that initial scoping study. A fundable CapEx, fairly low, and I'll explain why in a minute. Robust economics around payback, internal rate of return. A 152 million NPV at 8% using a $65 US commodity price. As we saw, and as I mentioned, where the spot is really up in the low 70s, and again, in terms of competitive all-in sustaining costs and cash cost. So what is ISR? The footprint that we would create is a lot smaller than an open cut mine. So essentially it is a big well field. Sorry, I need to go back. So the processing plant on the surface, injection wells, our resource sits in sedimentary sands about 60 to 80 meters below surface, so you're not drilling very deep holes, and then an extraction or recovery well. And you create a circulation, you mobilize the uranium, attach it to a resin, and then strip it off through an ion exchange at surface. A well-proven technique, so we're not testing new technology here. This process is used in Kazakhstan, in Wyoming, and in Texas. I think I've mentioned some of the, so the deposit itself is shallow, it is porous, so you can get good flow rates, and the leaching dynamics for the uranium are also good. So these are all factors that really stack up in our favor, and then having that workforce close at hand. The scoping study, we are looking at where the kicker comes is if we can grow the resource, we can do a study on a larger annual production target. So we'll be looking, depending on the resource, the updated resource estimate, revising our scoping study on a larger annual production target. And that should really flow through into the economics. This is our resource envelope at Blackbush, so that just the little deposit itself. As you can see, this is the drilling that we've been doing in the inferred envelope. So most of the work since March has been looking to convert our resource from inferred to indicated, because we need a certain size indicated resource to then look at a revised scoping study. So you'll see the red dots represent some good grades, some good hits. We are looking to drill this way. There's a particularly good hole down this way. I think it was close to 1%, and looking to head northwest as well. We've had now the heritage clearances that will enable us to do that in 2024. I'd also just highlight, so this is just in and around our resource envelope, that there was historic there's historic intercepts over here. So as we step out and follow the channels, we would expect to be able to grow the resource further. And then in terms of regional growth, we need to understand the relationship between Blackbush and Plumbush, and we also see opportunities north and south. The purple outlines here are interpreted paleo channels from some high-resolution gravity work that we did. Not every channel hosts uranium. We're looking for the roll fronts within that, but it does give you a good target zone to investigate. So I think I've mentioned most of this, and as investors, everyone is interested, what is the news flow and what's going to move the share price? We've got the resource estimate coming out, and we're targeting this month. Once we have that, we're all set to go with the scoping study and then that broader target range. So that would all be prior to the end of 23. We are fabricating the plant for the field recovery trial, and I'll give you a snapshot on that in a moment. And we do need to go through the licensing to be able to conduct that field trial in early 24. At the same time, we'll be running a feasibility study, and throughout 24, we will be drilling further, chasing some of those opportunities that I indicated. So field recovery trial, essentially we'll have 3 patterns, a containerized processing plant. We'll flow it for 3 to 4 months, and the objective, there are a couple of objectives, and I've got them here. It really is to better understand and confirm the chemistry, the hydrogeology, and most importantly, that recovery rate. So we've done that in the lab, bench scale. We need to confirm that we can do that in the ground. That flows into the feasibility study and our mining lease approval process. It's a bit of a feel for what that looks like. It is containerized, and it's a fairly small footprint. Very quickly to our other projects, and these are exciting. Up in the Northern Territory, we have the Tin Camp Creek, Beatrice, and Narberlek North projects. That yellow that you can see on the map is sandstone, so we've been trying to drill through a couple of 100 meters of sandstone. We've now moved to the north, and the Narberlek North project, where you can see there isn't that cover, it's been eroded. The U40 prospect that DevEx has is right on our boundary, and this is the area that we're in our second year. We've been doing geochem sampling. We've been looking for we've had an IP program looking for structures within the geology, and all of those results, as I've mentioned there, the assays are in the lab, and we will then interpret those and be releasing them to the market. Excitingly, Big Lake, this is conceptual. It's similar to other settings. No one has gone and explored here. We just announced on Thursday morning that we have kicked off a heritage clearance, and as you can see from the slide, we'll be in there doing some stratigraphic drilling next year. Unfortunately, I'm running out of time. In fact, we're into the pipeline. So Alligator is more than just the Samphire project. I think the blue sky really sits with our Nablek North and our Big Lake project. If we have some success there, that is not built into our share price, but there is significant upside to the Samphire project. And as noted at the bottom, we continue to look at M&A opportunities, and we do have a team set up for that, and we've identified jurisdictions that we'll continue to consider where it makes sense. Thanks for your attention, and we look forward to putting out those releases that I mentioned.